Michael Bruce Mitchell, Pro Wrestling Torch at the Sheets on Spring Garden Street. Love the people at Sheets. They do a heck of a job here. The one on Battleground's my favorite, but this is my next favorite because this is the best location for this video podcast. Bruce Mitchell, Pro Wrestling Torch.
Spring Garden's where it all happens.
It seems to come together.
Yeah. Jake's Billiards, Mother Tucker's for sure.
A couple of convenience stores other than Sheets, and some place got
Nutrition Now.
You mentioned Jake's, didn't you? Jake's down the street. Jake's Billiards.
Yeah, Jake's Billiards and Nutrition Now. My friend Ms. Prescott.
A little further down the street, if you get a good meal at Jake's or a good meal at Sheets, in fact, get a good meal at Sheets, walk down the streets, and you'll find John Hitchcock on the left. That's about a mile down this highway here, down the road.
First Carolina with my UNCG friend Dean Vile.
Yeah.
From decades back, a great place to eat. Best delicatessen in the state of North Carolina.
They got the other location on Battleground, Lock, Stock, and Bagel. They're connected, I think, or they were at one time. Hope they still are. How about the connection with AEW? They got some stuff going on right now. How about the AEW right now? The sold out. Is it sold out? Is it sold out yet? It's coming up soon. The next big pay-per-view and the big TV shows coming up in October.
The TV shows, that was a big move. The TV shows, the TV tapings, and we've all been, I know you have too, we've all been to television tapings. They can be different than pay-per-view shows and the big shows, and longer, and all kinds of things can be different. They sold out immediately with that. They got that, and there's a lot of talk about the different ticket services and all that, but the job of the wrestling promotion is to sell those tickets, and so they did. We'll see, if there's a gap, if there is some sort of gap, and the ticket vendors take a bath. We'll find out, but the wrestling promotion is set. That's great.
And they're making some moves. They got Tully Blanchard. What about Tully coming in? That's pretty big. Tessa's dad coming in to be a manager.
Go on YouTube and look at the YouTube things for Double or Nothing that's coming up in 3 weeks in Chicago, and watch the 15-minute shows they have with Cody Rhodes and Spears,
being the elite show.
Being the elite. I can't recommend anything to somebody that's a wrestling fan more than that. I mean, it's just, they're brief and they're still, and Tully Blanchard, it just did my heart good. Tully Blanchard, we're right one street away from where Tully Blanchard did his best work, and to see Tolstar out there at his age playing a little bit of J.J. Dillon, but
you gotta like that.
And he played it to the hilt.
How about the man who's managing? Tully's got a great name. What about the man who's managing Sean Spears? What about him?
Well, he spent many years in NXT, but you'll see this, Andy, and I recommend just going on YouTube and watching it. Take that long. He just blew out a legitimate sports-oriented interview in a way, and this was the guy that his gimmick was the number 10 in the WWE. It's just, you just sit there and shake your head, but Tully Blanchard. I actually watched that along with perhaps Tully Blanchard's biggest fan, John Hitchcock. Yeah. He was just like, oh my God. We've missed the managers, and Tully knows what he's doing.
So in your opinion, he'll be an active manager, very active.
I think he'll be talking. I think he'll play it. He was the type of wrestler where he was the good wrestler who got pushed to the limit and then cheated to help himself. So I think he'll play it very straight, right down the middle, and then when the time is right, he'll be the dirty.
Can he jump in the ring and take a few bumps still?
I don't think so. I don't think he'll need to. But I don't think so. He's in his 60s. I would think mid 60s, and I would be surprised. He's in very good shape for that age, but not in wrestling shape. He's thinner, but he played the hell out of it. He didn't say anything funny. Everything was right on point, and it's good to see Tully Blanchard back.
And talk about the show they've got. Here's the big thing. I gotta ask you this. This is the second best part of the show, I think, this week. Best part was Harley Race, no doubt. This part is this: AEW versus NXT on Wednesday night. How do you see that crazy thing shaping up?
Well, I did a show for the Pro Wrestling Torch, Bruce Mitchell audio show, about that, and I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, so we had to put, this is a real possibility, but it does look like it's going to happen. I think it's high stakes brinksmanship. I think it's war. there's a lot at stake with this. WWE goes in with NXT on FX1 against on a Wednesday night against them, and has a substantial rate. Somehow the NXT show has a substantial rating, and the AEW doesn't. Then they've really they've made the war between their third brand, their developmental league, and AEW. But if AEW goes out there and beats them, and then if Raw and SmackDown, there's business article today thinking that the stock of WWE was going to rebound, but noticing that the shows there was a good rating this week, pretty good rating this week for Raw. But I mean,
that was coming because of that of SummerSlam, right? Had a lot to do with it.
Right, SummerSlam and WrestleMania, the show after that, people watch those shows, so they follow that rating pattern. But they've really been shaky on the creative, and I think very shaky. And so they've got to go to Friday nights on Fox. So they've got, if they do this FS1 deal with NXT, a 2-hour show versus a 1-hour show. And it's worth mentioning tonight as we record this, and people can watch this on the WWE Network, that Cameron Grimes, the Trevor Lee, is in the finals of the NXT Breakout Tournament and has looked good going in and going up against ACH, and there'll be a lot that was taped before SummerSlam. The match was taped before SummerSlam, but there'll be a lot of eyes on that too. So it's CWF, and my understanding was at the NXT show in Concord that the CWF locals and wrestlers that all had worked with Trevor for those years made sure to sit up close when Trevor had his match and with Velveteen Dream and boo the hell out of him. So they had some fun with that. But yeah, it's that's real competition, and there's high stakes. If you go one way, if you go the other way. So
and the WWE they'll probably shift some guys down from the other brands to Raw brand, SmackDown brand, send a couple of guys down to the NXT show to kind of enhance it, won't they?
You would think, but if you're a regular watcher of Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, it doesn't look like NXT needs any help. It looks like Raw and SmackDown need that help, and part of the reason is that they've got a very got an older gentleman that's micromanaging and not in effective ways.
That'd be the Pops.
Vince McMahon. So Vince McMahon starts getting his fingers on NXT too. That could go either way. And then we don't know what AEW has done a good job with the shows that they've had so far. We don't know what they're going to look like for 2 hours every Wednesday night. And we don't know what NXT looks like for 2 hours. It's one thing to run a wrestling show when you've got a lot of talent and you've done a good job and established things for an hour, but turn it into a 2-hour competitive thing with another show. I don't know how that'll go either. So this is a real time to watch and
could be interesting fall, right?
Business. Yeah.
This could be like a reincarnation of the Fall Brawl. Remember that? Minutes ago?
Yes, it'll be a Fall Brawl.
Yeah,
you think
exactly.
So? Yeah.
What about AEW? Will the first match when they go on TNT, will that be Cody Rhodes? Is he not going to be in the first match kind of scheduled that night?
The first announced match is Cody Rhodes and Shawn Spears. I don't think that will be the first match. I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
But that's they announced that one to keep building interest in that match. When you see the Tully Blanchard stuff, you'll see what I'm talking about.
That's their headliner, right?
They're making they're making a good thing of it. It's one of them. They've got a lot of places to go, and I can't imagine that their inaugural shows won't tap.
How about the Young Bucks, the tag team match them in the first night?
No, yeah, you'll see. What I was going to say was you're going to see.
They're doing a three-way match to make up first, isn't it? Are they doing? Aren't they taking on Chris Jericho and two mystery partners? They got Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, and versus Jericho and the two mystery partners.
Right, and that should be
interesting.
That's at the paper.
That should be very interesting. Because they don't know who those two mystery partners are going to be.
Yeah, and that's the best part about it. I would imagine that so far that when they've had surprises or questions, they've answered them strongly. So I would imagine they have somebody in mind that get people talking.
What about StarCast 3? I know a lot of people talking at that event. I know. What about that coming up? Is that going to be
Conrad
soon?
Thompson right there with them, and Conrad's owning, pretty much running the WWE with his two guys, Eric Bischoff, and no, he's not, but Eric Bischoff and Bruce Pritchard. getting back, up and running some podcasts, and I think that I think that Conrad's going to have a good time. You got the Charlotte. I'm looking forward to seeing them in Charlotte this weekend, and then we'll see about Chicago.
A lot of big events coming up. I think the WWE reunion show on Raw a few weeks ago was a pretty big draw, wasn't it? Going back a few weeks, that was a big show.
Well, I mean, you had I sat there with a pen and paper and wrote down the names of stars, and I got up to 80. I don't know if 80? It was 80, and it was 42. My count was 42 from the past and 38 regulars, and that's a lot. And so I don't know that it was a rating success the way they would want it to be, but WWE right now is throwing everything they can to get their ratings up, including the King of the Ring tournament on Monday.
They're bringing that back, right?
Yeah.
A one-night event?
Yeah, I'm thinking you, Andy. I'm thinking you could step through that. We talked about the 24/7, but I don't know that you're up for wrestling pregnant women, but besides from that, I could definitely see you sneaking into that. So,
King of the Ring.
King of the Ring.
That was you, man. Back in the day, that was our thing on WKEW Tuesday nights. We're talking wrestling with the King of the Ring reporters, Bruce Mitchell.
That's right.
Those were good days, man.
Yes,
King of the Ring reporters. This seems like a Tuesday, but it's a Wednesday. What about Stone Cold Steve Austin at the reunion show? He did a pretty good job. He was kind of like the lead spokesman, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I mean, he
kind of grabbed the mic, ran with it.
Very much. He knew what to say, and he didn't need any scripting or direction. And it very much reminded me of what you would have the greatest all-time star come out and on the last show. I mean, it was like it had that feeling to it. But you looked at where people stand. It was like Austin right up there. Rock wasn't there, and then Ric Flair out there. But
John Cena was there, right?
John Cena was there early on, and Flair not talking, and then but Flair looked good. Those last couple of appearances, and you worry about Flair at 70 years old. So, and then Hulk Hogan just seemed like he was collared up pretty good. I mean, they weren't taking chances with him. So.
What about Sting? He was not there that night, correct? But he's doing something with WWE in the upcoming future. I think Sting is. They got him involved in something. He's still going to be making some appearances or something.
I would never be surprised, but I don't know that I've heard.
Is he at StarCast, Sting?
Maybe he is at StarCast.
Yeah, I know his name popped up somewhere there on the sheet.
I mean, you haven't seen much of him at all.
Yeah.
And so, some of those guys fall out of favor for whatever reason, and and I don't know whether Sting has or not, but he hasn't been around for WrestleManias and some of those legend things.
So you feel like coming up in October, AEW versus the next NXT. Right now, it's anybody's game, so to speak.
Versus Raw and SmackDown, yeah, particularly versus SmackDown on Friday nights on the new on Fox, boosted by NFL football, Fox NFL football.
I did read somewhere they kind of felt like it was a bit of a downer, you might say, when they found out that on TNT there may be maybe one of the wrestling shows one week may be preempted because of Major League Baseball. That always kills you when that happens.
Well, it's a choice there because the two nights that they looked at.
Yeah, it was Major League Baseball on Fox, not TNT. TNT was there to go, but this would be the Fox coverage of the MLB playoffs.
Fridays,
may affect the baseball SmackDown.
It very well could. Yeah, it very well could. And then AEW, they're going to be on Wednesday night instead of Tuesday night, and they would have been those of us, and you're one of us, that watched. You watch TBS at 6:05 on Saturday nights, and you get all excited to see wrestling, and then have those no good Atlanta Braves on.
Those Braves would be good.
So,
they said back in the day, was interesting. Read somewhere on the internet recently, one of the stories somewhere, but it was a true story. Interesting news that back in the day, the Saturday night, what they did then would be outdrawing almost what WWE does now with Raw on Monday nights. So
very much so.
Several million viewers each week on Saturday Night Wrestling.
Well, it's not several million for WWE.
They're down about two something now. Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
Championship Wrestling was the national wrestling show that everybody watched all over the country, and had a huge rating, 6:05.
And people got used to the time because it would be like you said, 6:05. Wasn't it 6 p.m. That odd time? 6:05. Yeah.
So Gordon's, was the Gordon Solis show.
Certainly, the leader.
Yes.
What about, you look at some other things on the detail list here. What about right now, you look at, you're talking about Tully Blanchard. What about Tessa Blanchard and the girls at Impact Wrestling? Because you got Tessa Blanchard, you've got Teneille Dashwood just went there, you've still got Madison Rayne, you've got Kiera Hogan. They may have the best women's group of wrestlers right now, Impact Wrestling, of all the different federations.
Yeah, WWE has seemed to be, Charlotte had a good match with Trish Stratus, but the
like
women have been
one and done for Trish, though,
yeah,
right?
And they've been kind of down some. Tessa Blanchard, there's an argument made for Tessa Blanchard, Tully Blanchard's daughter, and Magnum TA's stepdaughter, that she's the best women's wrestler in the world, but you got right up there with Charlotte too. So someday we will see Tessa Blanchard and Charlotte Flair, which would be something.
What I'd like to see is Tessa Blanchard with her dad Tully in her corner, and Ric Flair in Charlotte's corner. Maybe even another former horseman have a daughter and have that the women's three-way or four-way match. It'd be great with the fathers in the corners.
Arn Anderson has a son who's always been talk whether he would go into wrestling or not. So I don't know if we've got another woman or not. But
what about Barry Windham? He's got some sons. Any daughters?
I don't know. It's possible. And of course, the Fiend is.
What about the Fiend?
The Fiend is a
Bray Wyatt right now.
They really. I think they've done a good job of recasting him in kind of a nutty and kind of a maniac character. I thought they did a good job at SummerSlam with how he was presented and brought out, and then he looked like he's scared. He's scared his opponent. It was tough right there.
But they never used Matt Hardy as far as it goes.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's like, well, you're not going to have. There's some similarities, but it's different enough that I didn't look at it like it was a copy or anything. So, I mean, this Bray Wyatt, can he get his character established a little better and be a little better in the ring? He's in better shape and definitely doing the man. So,
let's take a break. Come back. Bruce Mitchell, Pro Wrestling Torch, and a few. Stay tuned.